Okay. Is anybody here sneaking with acrylics, thinking like it'd be okay if I do acrylics? Everybody's doing oil, right?
Actually,
Okay.
I was just gonna roll it on the pole.
Water soluble oil is okay, but not. Oh, thank you. Do you know how that goes? Yeah. Good. Oh yes. Let's talk about these easels for just a minute. They work fine, but for those of you who might be slightly mechanically is not your forte, this is not adequate. It has to be clamped at both the top and the bottom. For most of you, what you have to do is take off the top portion, take off the bottom portion, slide what was at the top, slide this up here, then put the bottom back on. Are you with me? You see where this is going? Some of you perhaps, again, you're good at other things, so you don't see where this is going. But you must have the top of the easel, not that all of these things. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And okay. And okay.
You can center that wherever you would like. I think if we.
And you will want the legs, if possible, of your easel splayed out to their fullest width, or the easel will fall down halfway through the class. Okay? Now that presents a challenge because for some of you the back leg's going to be very close to going off the back of the table. So it's a compromise kind of thing. Yours is very perfect. Thank you all for your figuring it out. Now I'm assuming everybody in here is more or less a beginner. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, let's see. One is you've never touched a brush or a canvas or a brush to a canvas in your whole life. Anybody here is a number 1? Okay. Yay! Welcome. Okay. Number 10 is you've done a painting before. How many of those? Okay. And in between, let me see. No.
40 years ago.
Yeah, oh yeah. A painting within the last 5 years. Never done oils. I should have asked that. We keep getting more and more sophisticated in our questions, don't we? Okay, do you all have those easels worked out? Thank you for your help. Very good, thank you. Okay, how many of you you feel like you need to see how to put paint on your palette? Is that yes?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm almost not going to do that, but I will. But, and again, you're not going to be able to catch everything today because while I'm saying something dreadfully important, you'll be thinking about something else dreadfully important. So again, if you like my style, which right now you're not so sure about, if you like my style, then even before you leave this class, get on your phone, go to YouTube, look up Dan Nelson, Dan the Art Man, and click subscribe. And if you want to be notified every time that I publish, which is almost every day, then click on the little bell. You know how that works, right? Right. Okay, how to put paint on your palette. I'm going to give you an overview. Number 1, it doesn't matter. Number 2, there's all kinds of personalities in the world, and I'll just divide it into 2 kinds, messies and needies. You, if you have any self-awareness at all, you know you're either a messy or a needy. You messies, put the paint on the palette any old heck way you want to. It doesn't matter, and don't pay ever any attention to a person like me who's a needy. Okay, now, you needies, you want to know how to do it. Here's how I do it, and you do not need to do it like me. I do mine in rainbow order or color wheel. You've heard of a color wheel, right? Roy G. Biv, maybe? Except that indigo is, anyway, never mind. They just had to put an I in there so that it came out pronounceable. But there's a color wheel or a rainbow. Like if you took the colors of a rainbow and put them in order, then you'd come right. So I start down here with purple, then I do purplish reds, and then orangish reds, and then orange, and then yellowish orange, and then orangish yellow, and then greenish yellow, and then yellowish green, and then bluish. Do you follow me? And then bluish green, and then purplish blue, and then blue, and then we're back around to the color wheel. That's the way I do mine. You don't have to do it that way, but if you're needy, you go, ooh, that's kind of cool. And then I do my brown. So, of course, it's not a circle. I mean, I do them in a straight line, but this is my purple-ish blue, which is ultraviolet. You don't need to remember that. You'll just learn it if you paint, which the next color would be purple. You understand? Which is down here. So there's the circle, okay? That's the color wheel. That's just me. You don't need to do it that way. I'll talk to you in a minute about, well, what colors do you have on there? Somebody's asking, wondering, what colors do you use? I think it was on the class description. Did I tell you what colors to get? Yeah. I think I did. Okay. And then after the rainbow ends, then I put all my browns all in a row from light brown to dark brown. Now here's something very funny about the art world. There are a number of paint names that are deceiving, like Indian red. What color is that? Brown, right? Yellow ochre, what color is that? Brown. Naples yellow, what color is that? Brown, exactly. Oxide red, what color is that? Brown. Okay, are you with me? So there's a whole bunch of things that are actually brown, but they call them yellow ochre and stuff like. I call all those browns. This is yellow ochre. This is, well, it's dirty. Sorry. This is yellow, and that's yellow. Yellow is Beth's shirt. Okay. Yellow ochre is the color of those little of this table. What color is this table? Nobody would say, golly, that table's yellow. If Beth's sitting on the table, you don't go, ooh, they're the same color. Are you with me? Yeah. So that's the art world. So I do my browns, all of them, from light to dark. Now, if you all want to see that in more slow motion, and again, this is not a commercial. I have a passion for teaching, and I do this very well on YouTube. And if you just pick up your phone, go to YouTube, click the microphone and say, Dan Nelson, not limited palette, or say limited, or whatever you want to say, and boom, you'll go to a 10-minute video where I describe not only every color, but why every color, okay? I'm not going to spend time today going over that in great detail, because it's just beneath you, frankly. Okay, so that's all the time I'm going to spend. So everybody put out your colors right now, any way you want to. And put out every color except white. Do not put out any white. This task.
You didn't ask the white.
Oh, white's not on the list?
Yes. I wondered about it. I did too. I was wondering.
Oh, orders! Oh my goodness. Okay. I need to talk to the powers that be at Jerry's who keep saying, give us a supply list. So I keep copying and pasting from Art of the Carolinas 11 years ago. Yes, white is the color that every oil painter uses more than any other. That is astounding. I will share my white with you. I am so sorry.
I think I brought a big white here. I can share.
I tell you what, I'll have white if somebody would share. Does it matter what they like blue?
Okay, now I will. Now let me talk. While you're doing that, go ahead and squirt. This assignment, this activity, putting paint on the palette, shouldn't take any more than 4 minutes. This is not a 20-minute assignment, okay? So don't think too hard. Again, you messies, just throw paint, because that's what makes you happy, okay? And you needies, don't get too needy, because we don't have time for that.
How much? Like without?
Oh yeah, how much?
Like a toothpaste?
Yeah, a nickel, diameter of a nickel. Let me give you some general principles. How many of you here like to waste money? Okay. How many of you here like to save money? Okay. Listen to this, and I know you're beginners, so I want to get you off on the right foot. You cannot both paint and save paint at the same time. You have to make up your mind. You're either going to paint or you're going to save paint. And if you're going to save paint, you're not going to paint. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
So don't be so crazy, all tired, worried about saving money. If you're most concerned about saving money, you're never going to paint. Okay, so just slap some paint. All the paint you put on your palette today, you can take home. And you can put it in your freezer, and it'll last for weeks in the freezer. And if you put saran wrap over it in the freezer, it'll last for years. Okay?
Can
Now-
I survive without saying what it is? I didn't buy it.
Yes, I'll share phthalo blue with you, and I will share white with you.
Somebody will share phthalo, I'll share white.
Nope, I'll share my phthalo off white. Now, I am going to talk a little bit about color right now. And again, if you go to YouTube, you get this a whole lot better and a whole lot slower with visuals. So I urge you, invite you, beg you, if you want to know what I think about paints, please take advantage of what I've already produced. YouTube, Dan Nelson, limited palette, or not limited palette, either one. I have two videos. One is limited, one is not limited. But if you speak one thing, both videos will come up. I personally don't use cadmiums or cobalts. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about, but some of you do. They cause cancer in California in lab rats. Thankfully, we're not lab rats and we don't live in California, so don't worry about it.
Just sort it out.
Or just be conservative, but not paranoid. I think I'm cautious, but not paranoid. Of course, today, I promise, you will not get cancer from the cobalt or cadmiums you use in this class. I wouldn't recommend eating it, but a few of you are going to do that anyway. The danger of paints is they absorb into your skin while you're cleaning your brushes, right? You swish out your brush in Gamsol or Terpenoid, and then you have a rag and you go like this, or a paper towel. That's how it gets into your liver and kidney and evidently stays there till you die. Again, again, if you go to my YouTube, you'll find out what I use instead of. I'm saying all this while you're putting out your paints, right? Don't stop and listen to me. Just listen while you put out your paints. The other thing that I'm going to say is, for the last 8 years, I've used nothing for my titanium white. I've used nothing but alkyd oil paint. That's just a type of. It's not a brand name. It's a type of oil paint that dries fast. Alkyd, A-L-K-Y-D. That just means that it's an oil paint with an alkaline as opposed to its acid in it, and it dries faster. Okay, because one of the slowest drying paints in the universe is titanium white, which is the color we use last. Now, don't put out white on your palette at all right now. Okay, if you did already, don't worry about that. Put out all your colors except white. Okay, but if you didn't bring white because of that crazy list, I will share mine with you. Okay. What to clean your brushes in. I brought two things. This is the one I use all day, every day. It's a bucket inside a bucket, if any of you are going to paint. But I'd like you to mostly notice the size. You can either paint or save money. You can't both paint and save money. If you want to save money, don't paint. Painting is not an expensive hobby. I don't know what your other hobbies are, but golf, tennis, oh my goodness, cooking. So no, compared to all the other hobbies in the world, painting is pretty cheap. So, but when you do paint, you can't be consumed with trying to not paint, if you hear what I mean, okay? So, and I say that because very often students, if I may pick on Beth for just a minute, students will bring things like this to like clean your brushes in. And I'm not saying that's what Beth did. But no, this is not. Yeah, look. Here. Yeah. Good job. Terpenoid, odorless terpenoid. Yeah, I don't have the can. So this. Yeah. This is good. Does anybody have a bottle of Gamsol? Do you have a bottle? Show us. Okay, good. Here's Gamsol. This is even better. Jackie, is that your bottle of Gamsol? Okay, my dear, next time. Yeah, exactly. Next time, buy one this size. Unless this is the only painting you're ever going to do, then that will do. In fact, hold that up again, Jackie. I do have a mild beef. This is a marketing trick to get beginners to waste their money, and it makes me a little irritated. that they do that because they think, oh, beginners just don't. You will use up that much in 45 minutes. Okay. Now the good news, all this stuff is recyclable. You don't use it once and throw it out. Oh, by the way, that's a good thing to know. So you won't really use it up in 45 minutes, Jackie. But you save this. You take it home, and all the paint settles to the bottom, and the top part will get clear as Kool-Aid. Not water, but tinted water. Okay. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks for being a good example. Pardon?
I can't do it.
Oh. Never use your teeth.
Never got, no.
Never use your teeth.
I can't do it. I can't use my teeth.
This is what you use.
That's right. That's right. Very good.
Very good.
If you are going to paint ever in the future after this class, and I hope that you will, this is one of those expensive doohickeys that is worth the money. It's a watertight, airtight, clamped down. They charge way too much. I think it's like $24 or something. It's kind of expensive, but it's one of those things that's worth it. For the Gamsol, okay? And as far as health goes, Gamsol is slightly better than terpenoid. Don't use department store, drugstore, hardware store paint thinner. Oh no, yes, don't use turpentine. Oh my goodness. Unless you're painting outside in a good wind. Okay? It is a wonderful product, but outside in the wind only. All right. Woo! Is everybody okay?
Got one more.
Here, pass it back to the lady with the nutcracker. Helen, was that you with the nutcracker? We have another one that needs opening up here. And I instructed everyone to buy Liquin. Did everybody get some Liquin? And yes, this small bottle will do for this class. We'll just about use it up in this class, so you did buy get some money. Pardon?
What is it?
Oh, good question.
Because I have linseed oil
Oh, no.
and a gel. Not good enough.
It'll be okay for this class. Let me tell you what this is for. This is a fast drying oil medium. Both of those are probably slow dry. Okay, but we're already getting into the content with that question, the content of this class, and we'll cover that as we go along. Does everybody have a picture of this fishing boat? And by the way, I'm just going to ask this piece of tape. This is a lousy photograph that I took. Probably like for most of you, like the lousy photographs that you take. Let's admit it. Unless you're a professional photographer, you just take pictures to paint from, right? And it used to be cameras, now it's just our phone, right? Click, 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 click. So that's what we're going to paint from. A little bit about the teaching method and what we're going to do today. This is an introduction to oil painting. Thank you for coming. My name's Dan Nelson. How many of you have no idea what my stuff looks like? You're just here on faith. That's crazy, but thank you for coming. I mean, I would have Googled me, but that's all right. Thank you for coming in any case. You're here. I've never painted in my life. They just had an opening tonight, and they needed somebody to come in and teach. That's not true. So it is an intro to oil painting. Now, I'm going to try really hard. Oh, two things. Number one, everything that I say between now and 8 o'clock is carefully thought out, reasoned, and absolutely correct. Until 8:01. And then you can flush it all down and pretend you didn't hear any of it. I give you that permission. But until then, everything I say is the only way to paint, the right way to paint, the best way to paint, and no argument. I mean, you can argue with me, but okay. But at 8:01 is the main point. Like if you take from another teacher next week, if this is your first class, welcome to the wild ride, because your second class, your next teacher will tell you a whole bunch of things the opposite of what I said. Of course, they'll be wrong. Okay, so that's just the way it is. Okay, so my way is right until 8 o'clock, and then you can just keep as much of me as you can. One more introductory statement. I am going to try anytime that I'm teaching you something that's a little bit weird and Dan Nelson-ish, like specific to the weird way I paint, I'll try to let you know that. Okay? Conversely, anytime that I'm teaching you something that is like universal, sort of all art professors say the same thing, I'll try to let you know that as well. So that'll help you at 8 o'clock to try to figure out how much of me to swallow and so forth, and how much to buy of what I've given you. Okay? And with that, I think we'll get started. Oh, did everybody, I think on the list was a cheap chip brush. Did everybody get one of those?
Yes.
Okay, there's always several people that know you have a 2-inch wide, nice, smooth brush. Thank you, Diana, for the grimace. Yeah, those blue-handled ones, not bad. Borderline. They're a little bit too nice.
That's what they're selling for.
Yeah, we told them we need a cheap
These are not so
brush.
nice.
This is what they need.
They want to make a little more money. Okay, and Diana, what do you need? Okay, here. Can you catch? I'll give you. Okay, thank you, Judy. Okay, if anybody, I brought a whole bunch of extras of different sizes, but the blue ones will do fine. And Sarah, tell me your name again. Min. That's right. No, that is, hold it up, Min. That is much too nice. What is wrong with this brush? It's a lovely brush and very good, but much too high quality. This is Dan Nelsonism, right here, okay? This is my favorite brush in the whole world because it does not do what you tell it to do. So here, pass this. You're letting you borrow this, Min. And that's huge. Now, let's start teaching. Let me act out here. Let me see if I'm on this camera. And I have no idea. We have two people are watching. Oh no, 14 people are watching. How about that? I better behave. Okay. I want to try to, now this is Dan Nelson-ism. This is not universal art professor, but doggone it, I am so right about this. This part, blah, blah, blah. Okay? We're standing at the beginning of an oil painting. We're standing at a fork in the road. Okay? Because I really would like to bend all of your twigs tonight. Even if this is the very, very, very first painting you've ever painted, I would like to bend your twig. Down one road, let's say this way, is, well, you're looking at this picture, and you're saying to yourself, ooh, gotta draw, gotta paint, gotta paint, draw, that boat, gotta draw, gotta render. I want to achieve an astounding similitude to that boat. Okay, I want to do realism. I want to paint that boat. That's it. You get the spirit of this path? The spirit of this path is, man, I want to paint that boat good. And by good, you mean accurate, realistic, detailed, accurate. Have I made the point clear enough? Yes. That's this path. Down the other path that I want you all to take from this day for the rest of your life is, I am going to do a painting of that boat. But I'm not consumed with rendering, drawing, realistically imitating that boat. I'm going to produce a beautiful painting. Whoa. Completely different mindset. You see? And I don't know if you've heard this or not, but about 170 years ago, a camera was invented. And cameras have completely, in my opinion, taken the place of artists. We don't have to be cameras anymore. Okay? So almost everything that I'm going to teach you tonight is not going to be about how to render, draw that boat. Now, having said that, I would strongly urge any of you, let's just do true bragging for a moment. Anybody in here say, I'm a pretty good drawer? Anybody? Yay, good. Thank you for not being too shy to be dishonest. Thank you. So, if you're a good drawer, you're going to use all those skills. Those of you who are not necessarily good drawers, and some of you were just too shy to raise your hand, I understand, but those of you who are not necessarily good drawers, I do urge you, if you can, come back and take a drawing class or my drawing class, or at least watch one of my drawing classes on YouTube. I do teach drawing. It's the most repeated class I do here at Jerry's. And we don't draw an apple with a light shining on it or anything like that. It's very cerebral, it's very smart. It's about the levels of mental development from infancy to adulthood. I talk about why people can draw and why some people can't. So if you're not good at, I'll give you a quick summary. If you're not good at drawing, it's because you don't see what your eyes are pointed at. You don't. Now your eyes are doing perfectly good job at what they were created or evolved for, which is keep you alive. That's what your eyes were created for or evolved for, is to keep you alive, and here you are. So they've done a smashing job up until now. But keeping you alive and drawing your mother's portrait are like antithetically opposed. That's why you can't draw, is because your brain, I have to rewire your brain. And basically I have to get both sides of your brain talking to each other, right, left, right, left, right, left. We take 3 hours, I could take 8 hours easily teaching that class. Not going to do that tonight. Tonight, sadly, if you're a bad drawer, you're going to do a bad painting of this boat. I don't mean a bad painting, you're going to do a bad rendering of this boat. And that's just tough. Okay, so if you come in here hoping that you're going to do a lovely paint, let me back up. I say this in every class. Almost nobody's going to walk out of this class tonight with a masterpiece. Okay, there is a way to teach so that students walk out with masterpieces. There is and it's a valid way. First of all, we don't paint boats like this. We paint like an apple. Okay, and we start with one stroke. Do this, and then everybody does that. And I say, do this. It's the follow me stroke by stroke type of teaching. Nothing wrong with that. That's not what I'm here. I'm here to teach you how to paint. So the masterpiece you're going to walk out that door with at 8 o'clock is a mind bulging full of concepts and ideas and tips, some of which you won't be able to remember, so you can go back and look at it on YouTube. Are you with me? Okay. But those of you who can't draw very well, you're not going to get any better at that tonight. Okay? So, well, very little, I should say. Not very little. So because that is not the purpose. Tonight is an intro to oil painting. Tonight is not how to draw a boat. Are you okay with that? Okay. But I think I can teach you how to paint a boat. The next, and we're about to start painting in just a minute. I'll put out a pile of Liquin about. I'm going to do this now, and you can do the same thing. By the way, if you keep this around for a little while, it turns brown. Don't throw it out. It's still good. When it's brand new, it's like lavender pale and so forth. Don't throw it. It's still perfectly good. Put out about a tablespoon on your palette, okay? And the last thing I'm going to say before I start painting is get ready for a wild ride. And this is partly Dan Nelsonism, but again, I'm pretty serious about this. I'm trying to set you off on the right way to paint. Okay? Get ready for a wild ride. We're going to do almost nothing that you, unless you've watched me before, we're going to do almost nothing like you think we are. So loosen up, get ready to do what I do. And it is, you are going to sort of repeat after me. I'm dipping my brush in this Liquin, getting it pretty wet. And then I'm going to decide what color to do. You know what, we're going to start a little different tonight. I'm going to dip my brush into red. It almost doesn't matter which red. I've dipped mine into Scarlet Lake and Nassau Crimson. I don't know if they were on the list or not, but we're yeah, your big brush.
Okay, so we dip it in the
So we just do this.
You get it good and
Liquin first.
sopping with Liquin first. Oh yeah, okay. Let me explain that. Because I mentioned to some of you that you would use up this whole bottle in one class. Let me rectify. Many people think this is called a medium. There are hundreds of mediums they add to oil painting. Most people, and these are all women, I don't know if you all cook, but I'm going to use a cooking analogy. Most beginners erroneously think that this is like salt and pepper or garlic or some spice that you add to your stew. Right? The stew is your paint and this is the spice. Completely opposite. This is the meat and potatoes. The paint is your salt and pepper. Okay? You paint with this. The colored paint is the spice that you add to this. So that's why you're going to use up all of this. But you will not use up a lot of paint. Okay, here's my first stroke. And by the way, I'm going to even dip my brush. I want it good and wet. I dip it in Turpenoid. And here we go. Now I need some more turpenoid. Okay, I am done. Let me explain real briefly what that is. Okay? I'm already drawing because there's a big blob here and a big horizontal here. Anybody want to guess what that is? It's the boat. Here's this, see this red thing right here? And some reddish stuff there, and the red along the edge of the water, and a little bit of red there. That's what that is. I beg of you to try to be as messy as I just was. Go. If you take more than 20 seconds, you are way overdoing it. So. Oh, yes, I love drips. Yes, I do.
But the paint first and then the this stuff.
Yes, right. The liquid first,
Liquin.
paint second, color second,
Just red.
and then dip it in your turpenoid so that your brush is good and drippy, wet. Oh, and that's going to be hard because
I got it.
You do. Good job.
Got it.
Okay. Now, I do invite you to try to imitate what I've done as close as you can. Yes.
Wow.
Okay. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Okay. And I'm going to be really mean like a good track coach here tonight. If I let you do each stage as long as you feel like you ought to, number one, we won't get nearly through. And number two, with the extra seconds, you'll get worse and worse and worse with every second. So try to get used to flying along. Now, okay, does anybody have a rag or a paper towel at your disposal? Excellent. Pick up a rag and get it damp, make it damp with turpenoid or what's the other stuff called? Damp salt. Turpenoid or damp salt, whichever is your cleaner product here. Okay, and I can see most of your work through the back of your canvas. Virtually every canvas in the room is too neat. Okay, Beth or Judy, I mean, may I use your canvas to demonstrate with? And, and I'll even say that Judy is one of the less too neat ones, but even she is too neat. Which painting is neater? Hers, right? Now, yours and mine, which one is neater?
Yeah.
Yours. Okay, so we're just going to start right up. Now, what I'm doing right now is definitely a Dan Nelsonism. Okay, so file that away. You'll never have another art teacher that makes you do this, but it's because I'm dead serious about. Remember the crossroads? This way is drawing a boat. This way is producing a good painting. I am trying to get you to go down this road. Okay, and if I may, this can be tricky because okay. Here's Judy's painting, and I'm going to fix it. Okay. Okay, it's not great, but it's a whole lot better than it was 5 seconds ago. Go down and do likewise. Go. You have 5 seconds to make your painting messy.
Putting the stuff on here and doing that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Judy.
Well, I just made it.
Good. Okay. And if you have another rag or another paper towel, do take a moment and wipe the damp salt or turpenoid off your hand, okay? Again, I don't think I'm paranoid about this stuff. I know I'm not. But I'm just cautious, just common sense. Okay, so wipe that stuff. It absorbs through your skin and it's not that good for you. Okay, ready? Step 2. Yeah, borrow a paper towel.
Yep.
Oh, I do have some up there. Wipe off your brush. Don't clean it. Just take a paper towel and go like this to get most of the red off. Do that really quickly. I want a dirty red brush, a brush with a little bit of leftover red paint in it. Fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Same thing that we did. We're going to do a similar thing. Now you have a dirty red brush, because no point in cleaning it. Put it in your Liquin. Get it good and soppy with Liquin. This time, dip it into your yellow paint. I don't care which yellow. I'm using Indian yellow, which when it looks kind of orangish, but when it's spread it out, it's very bright yellow. But any yellow will do. Not yellow ochre. Yellow ochre is not a yellow, it's brown. Okay, so and cad yellow light, medium, French yellow, Indian yellow, any of those. Fair enough? Okay, and please watch me. By the way, at the early part of the class, most of my demonstrations, many of them last no longer than 4 seconds. So when I say watch me, I really mean, oh, by the way, somebody just reminded us to turn off our ringers. Thank you. That's me. I'm the one whose phone goes off in the crowd. No problem. It's the one that goes off second. She should be embarrassed. Because Beth is reminding me right now to turn off. No shame, Beth. That is totally me. Yeah, I did turn mine off. Okay, you have yellow, so same thing, and then you dip it in turpentine so it's good and wet. Yellow. Okay, watch me. And I'm looking at my boat painting, and there's a bunch of yellow here, a bunch of yellow here, and a bunch of yellow here. Okay? I am done.
Wow.
Okay? Again, when I say watch me, don't think, well, I'll start watching. I'm done by the time it gets that far. Okay, go. And yes, all of this right now, this is hardcore Dan Nelson-ish. Okay? So this is a little bit weird. I'm going to defend it in a minute. I've already defended it by my intersection talk. So I'm going to defend it a little bit more in a minute. But this is not typical. Which means I have to explain, well, why do you do it then? That'll come later. Let's do one more time. Clean off your brush with a rag. You don't have to dip it in turpentine. Just rub it onto a paper towel vigorously. You want it kind of clean. You don't have to be like me. I'm tightly wound. Life is short and I'm in a hurry. So, plus you get a little bit of exercise if you do everything that way. And I need more Liquin already. I've used up my tablespoon of Liquin. Pardon? Okay, were you talking?
Why would they do such a little while?
Yeah, you should be able to get through the class with that much, I think. Okay, so same thing again. This time Liquin again, and this time let's do phthalo blue. And Beth, you said you didn't have any. Does everybody have a phthalo blue? PHTHA. Oh, you have other stuff. On the list for the class were 2 blues. One was ultramarine and one was phthalo. Ultramarine is a purplish blue. Phthalo is a greenish blue. Okay, and a little phthalo goes a long way. You don't need very much. I probably said that too late.
So is this how people do those abstract?
Yeah, that's a completely different class. Yes.
But I mean, you said you painted, so it's this one.
Okay, you ready? So, not too much phthalo on your brush. Dip it in the turpenoid again. And now I'm looking at the photograph and scratching my chin and going, where is it blue? You tell me, where's some blue? The hull. And it's a terrible photograph because the sky is white. That's just because it's probably like yours, forgive me, because it's a lousy photograph. So let's pretend the sky is kind of sort of blue. You with me? So here's my blue hull and some blue sky. Okay, go. Try to be as messy as I am. Go. If you take more than 15 seconds, you're going down a bad path. Okay? Thank you. Thank you all for being such a good sport about all this. Who says I'm being a good sport, she says. It sounds like you're being a good sport. Way to go. Okay, before we proceed, I'm going to give somebody here the chance to show off and be smart. Just from the little that I've said about painting and what we've done, can anybody put two and two to correlate this? Why are we doing this? Does anybody have any idea? Loosen up?
Blocking in color.
Blocking in? Yes, good.
Blocking in color.
Yeah.
Going for shape rather than.
Yeah, good. Those are all very good answers. That's exactly right. Now, and again, if you follow me on YouTube, you hear me say things because I do, again, an average of 5 broadcasts a week. So you'll hear this stuff over and over. If you like the way I teach, you'll love it. If you don't, obviously you won't watch. Traditional. So here's traditional oil painting: is you block in the painting first. That's traditional. And this is not blocking in, but it's the same idea. So your answer was in the right vein. I call it blobbing in. Okay? In the cute way to put it is, if you block in, you lock in. But if you blob, there's room for changing your mind and moving things around. Okay? That's part of the reason I start this way. Another reason is because I'm trying to, this is the way I start. So I'm not just tricking you. I trick myself as well. I trick myself into not starting out on the render path. Can I use that word? Render means to draw something accurately. And I want to slap myself at the very beginning of the process and say, thou shalt not take one step down that render path before you start down the beautiful painting path. Okay, so ideally what we'd like to have at this point is a very fascinating abstract painting. Okay? And is anybody, you look at your canvas, you look at mine, is anybody here, yours is just neater than mine? Anybody? I would guess it's about 90% of the class, but I can't see, and I'll have to trust you. May I pick on you?
Sure.
I'm going to pick on Kathleen because I can see her painting. Okay, here's what I mean by that. It's because some of you are going, I don't know if mine is neater or not. Okay. Kathleen has several, very carefully, I'm not picking on you, my dear. If I went around, I would do the same thing. If you let me touch your canvas right now, I would come around with a rag and mess it up, and it would instantly become a better painting. How do I know that? Because I would mess it up with vigor, energy, enthusiasm, optimism, confidence, and any stroke applied with those feelings is a beautiful stroke. Okay, and Kathleen, like many of you, has here, for instance, the blue whale in the middle of the painting. The challenge with it is it's a very, very accurately circumscribed shape. You can come up with a piece of tracing paper and a pencil, and you could trace it. No shame, but I'm going to fix that. Okay, and probably many of you could do the same thing. So that is very neat. So I'm going to fix it. May I? Okay. Now, is that not a better painting? Okay, pick up a rag and do that to your painting right now.
Can we put some of the spirits on?
No, this can just be dry. There's enough stuff already on your painting. Paper towel, a real rag works better than paper towel, but paper towel will do. Now, no, wait, hang on. So you may need to say that again. Here's what there should be no scrubby. That makes horrible marks. Too late. Okay, I'm going to do what I just did to Kathleen's, I'm going to do to mine. But, by the way, and that is such a huge issue, at no point almost no point in the painting process should you be using the same motions that you use everywhere else in life when you brush something. Brush the dog, brush your hair, brush the window, brush the dishes, brush the painting when you're painting your dining room, brush. None of those motions. That motion of your hand, all the things your hand does naturally make atrocious marks. Okay, let me demonstrate real quickly what I did to hers. There. And I made my painting better too. Okay. Now try to make, if you went like this, try to now mess up what you made too neat. In other words, you went from neat to neater a minute ago because you started going like this. So just do a star shape or a couple letters of the alphabet through your canvas. Big strokes, fast strokes, go all the way from one end to the other, but no brushy. Okay, that's enough. If I let you go too far, you'll go too far. Okay. Okay. Again, this is Dan Nelson. Oh, by the way, it's also Rembrandt. Okay, so it is not the only way to paint. It sure as heck is the best way to paint, and that's correct until 801. You understand that? I also believe it's correct after 801, but you don't need to. Now, let's change gears radically at this point. Pick up a small brush, a small pointy brush. And by small, I mean something along this line of, these are filberts, and these are long filberts, which are my favorite. So,
Which shape?
well, a round will do, or a flat will do. Perfect. Filbert is my favorite.
How big like those?
And oh, these are bristle brushes, by the way, not hair brushes. Not. I don't mean our hair. Not a fake sable. These are bristles, not soft. Okay.
What number? What number?
Yes. No. Yes.
6?
Number 4, 6, 4 or 6.
Either one of these.
That one. That's a soft brush. That's a hair brush. I don't mean our hair. I mean sable fur hair brush. It's a fake sable brush, but that's, and I can't tell what that is. I think that's a soft brush. You want one that looks like pig bristles. Right, you don't. Well, you made Carl mine. I want that one back. I don't think either of those are bristle. The green one is closer. Yeah. Okay, just a word about brushes and why we use the ones we do. And by the way, a little bit of my journey. And again, you can see this at my website, dannelsonart.com. For many years, I was a full-time illustrator. That means I did whatever the phone told me to do, ad agencies, publications, so on and so forth. And most of my work was realistic, even to hyper-realistic, okay? So I've done super realistic stuff, especially as an illustrator. Sometimes I still do it just for fun, but you can tell that we're not going down a realism path here, we're going down abstract realism. When I first started oil painting, I had brushes like many of you have here today. These nice, soft, fuzzy, furry things that feel so wonderful. Here's why I liked them, and here's why you like them probably, and why I'm going to tell you don't use. They're good brushes, you can use them. Why do we use bristle? Why do all good painters, quote unquote, that might be an exaggeration, but no, it's essentially use bristle brushes. The reason is the soft brushes do what you tell them. What's wrong with that? That's a good question. I'm getting myself into bigger speeches than I intend to. The bristle brushes have a little bit of a mind of their own, and that's the kind of brush you want to paint with. Okay, let me back up and give a broader picture. In my entire teaching career, I've known of two. I've taught thousands of students. Among those thousands, I've had two. One wasn't my student, but a co-painter in a gallery. I've known two artists out of thousands that came out of the chute loose. The other 9,998, shall we say, are tight and want to get loose. Okay, and I don't even want to show of hands. Some of you don't even know that's who you are, but that's who you are. Okay, I mean those are the odds. 2 out of 1,000 are loose. The other 998 are like me. You're naturally tight. And the soft, fuzzy brushes do what you tell them, which means they should be anathema to you. Like, stay away from those, because they're going to aid and abet your tightness. Are you with me? Again, forgive me, back to my initial fork in the road. Down this road is tightness. gonna draw that boat, paint that boat, accurate, realistic detail. Because many of you think that's good painting. And alas, those people do win awards and so on, and some of them are outstanding. But the great majority of great painters all through history fall down the Michelangelo or Rembrandt path, which is brushstrokes are beautiful. Another story, I could go on about that for hours. So, by the way, you'll also notice the only time I'm going to hold my brush like this, it won't happen in this class, is when I sign my signature. All the other time I'm holding it like this. I would recommend that, but that's almost for another day, almost for another class. I mean, you can hold it any way you want except this depth control grip, or even this. This is maybe, but definitely not that. Okay. So we have switched, have we? We've all got a small brush, right?
What are we putting in? What did you just do?
Oh, I haven't started that yet. That was the next thing out of my mouth. What do we put on it? Is that what you
You
said?
just did that.
Oh, no. Yeah. Okay, Liquin. Sorry, that was about to come out of my mouth. Liquin, and I'm deciding which color. Let's do purple or violet. So get some Liquin on your brush so it's fairly juicy, runnier than the paint that comes out of your tube. And now we are going to do some drawing with this skinny brush. So in a way, we've been pelting down this path. I'm going to say, here's why. If you start out down the tight, realistic path, it's like a great ship. You never will get that ship turned to get on the loose path. You with me? But if you start out on the loose path, it's easy to dip in over here, and that's what we're going to do right now. So those of you who are good at drawing, you're going, yippee! Those of you who are bad at drawing, you're going, oh darn. But again, we don't really have time. I will lead you through some of my inner thought process as I make marks. But again, overall statement, and this is kind of a Dan Nelsonism, the fact that I sneak up on my subject matter, but it's not that rare. It's also me and Rembrandt, the greatest artist who ever lived, by the way, if you just want to know the answer to that question. We're going to draw, and I just picked purple rather arbitrarily. Okay, now I am looking at my photograph, and I'm saying I think the most important line in that photograph is the top of the gun whale, right? And it goes about like this. I would like you to notice how I made that mark. Then the front of the bow of the boat is a line more or less like that. Then there's this big dark, is it a doorway? I think it's a doorway, right? The big dark thing. That was the dark thing. Then there's a window and another window. Oh, and there's two tires. Are you catching this?
No.
And then there's a door way back here at the back. And there's that red thing that sticks up. I had it there, now I've moved it way back there. Then there's a bunch of messy net stuff. And then a little bit more purple. And then there's this, the water line is about like that. And the edge of the water is about there. Okay? That was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Get out of the way.
Yeah, okay. That's a fair statement. You're going to have a hard time doing that, holding the brush in this manner. So I do strongly urge that you hold it this way. You have less control that way. Check. Bingo. Correct. Good. You'll paint better this way than this way. So I just made...
Do you have a piece of tape?
Yeah,
Tape that. Or I can just put it right there. Never mind. I got it. I'm sorry. I can just wipe it.
Now, I could go on and on and on. Please paint while I talk. The essence of good painting is making interesting marks. The most important thing about painting is making interesting marks. Interestingness is more important than accuracy, although we want both. But interestingness is more important than accuracy. Statement number 2, if I may. You don't have to get every mark exactly in the right place, because we're going to be drawing this image several more times. And every time we draw it, we can make little corrections. Does that make sense? So this is just your first best guess. Don't sweat, don't work, don't frown too hard. Just take a slapdash guess at where it goes. Again, this will be easier for those of you who are good drawers. Yay for you. This will be more challenging for those of you who are not. But listen, even those of you who are not good at drawing have the opportunity to do a pretty good painting tonight. I already said the likelihood of you walking out with a masterpiece is not great. But the likelihood of you walking out with a painting that has some nice features is pretty good. Okay? So even if your lines are off, or one might say woefully off, you still have the possibility of walking out of here with a not too bad painting. Okay? Because interesting line. Okay, some of you, I'm going to count you down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. If I let you go as long as you want, you'll go down a bad path. Okay, so better to stop early. By the way, I count myself down too. Same thing is true for me. My worst paintings are when I have too much time on my hands. My best paintings tend to be when I'm in a big hurry. Okay, you ready? How many of you say, this is not what you thought you were going to do? Correct, just be honest. Okay. If you say otherwise, I think you're just not telling the truth. Yeah, some of you didn't have any idea. That's okay too. Okay, now we're going to paint with a rag or a paper towel. I've got a rag. It's very used, but I can still use a little bit. This kind of paper towel. There's a brand that all painters are famous for using the best. Anybody know what it is? Viva. What is this? Do you remember? Blue.
Blue, yeah. Why?
They release less lint.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so this time the rag can be fairly dry. This actually has, I can tell it has a little bit of stuff in it, the Gamsol in it. We're going to paint with a rag now. And we're going to take paint off of the canvas. In other words, we're going to look at the photograph and look for areas of the photograph that are light. Now, I'm not saying the word white. That's very important. Don't look for white. Look for light of any color whatsoever. And in those light areas, we're going to erase, so to speak. Watch me do it. And I'm going to start with the sky. Okay, now if that happens to you, then that means, okay, I need a little bit more stuff on my rag because I want more to come off. Oh, and by the way, yes, back to that, none of this. Okay, we're painting with a rag and interesting marks. The marks, making interesting marks is the most important thing.
Do you have something on your rag?
Yes, I went back and got a little bit more Gamsol after the first swipe because I found it wasn't coming off as much as I wanted. Okay, hang on. Watch me for just a minute. Now the hull of the boat, I'm declaring the front of that to be pretty white, and it's kind of light back here. Not white. Do you hear me? Light. It's kind of light down here compared to the other, so I'm going to make that light. And the water is light. Okay, do that. That shouldn't take any more than 40 seconds. That's generous. I think I did mine in about 20, maybe 25. Okay, so take 40 seconds. I can do just a tiny bit more. There we go. Now we're going to come back and look at some of your paintings. Yes, and the darker your canvas is, the more you may want to take off at this point. If your canvas is fairly light, like mine, then you have to take off as much. And you might have to scrub. It depends on a whole bunch of variables as to how much comes off.
I think I need to have
Even the spots where we want it dark?
Say that, yes, even the spots that you want dark, did you say?
Yeah.
No, work around those.
Okay.
Yeah, work around your dark areas. You're just wiping off the light stuff. You're drawing with a rag, but instead of adding darkness to your canvas, now you're adding lightness to your canvas. Does that make sense? By lifting off paint. Okay.
Do we have extra paper?
Yeah, I love,
Oh, extra
I'm
paper
sure
towel?
I love on the paper towel.
Yes, we actually, we do, back here. Here, pass this around to anybody else that needs it. Pass it, so. Anybody else? There. And here's a stack here by Kathleen. Okay, you should be just about done. I'll start at 7 this time. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Take a deep breath and tell yourself you're having fun. No, wait. Are you getting it? Oh, no. Don't, please don't run ahead of me. That's all right, Judy. That's all. Yeah, don't run ahead because you're very likely to run in a bad direction. Judy, you actually did the right thing, but no, wait, we're all going to do that together. So what Judy's impulse was correct. She wants to redraw what she had there. But let me repeat. And this is kind of a Dan Nelsonism, kind of. Also Rembrandt, which is about as arrogant a statement as an artist could possibly make, but I've disguised it really well so you're not noticing. Me and Rembrandt. Would to God it were so. Okay, here it is. We sneak up on our subject little by little. It appears, the fishing boat will appear little by little by little, like out of a mist. Right now we have quite the mist. At least I do, and most of you do. Okay? And again, please don't be thinking about your significant other, what they would say if they saw your canvas right now. They are not here, and the door is locked. We'll pretend. Okay, so don't worry about that. Let me try to get inside the mind of an early artist, like many of you are. Here, let me tell you what you're feeling. Most artists are a little insecure and nervous about their ability to render. Again, this path. They're on this path. They're a little bit nervous about their ability to accurately render this boat. So because of that nervousness, the natural impulse is to rush to judgment. Say, oh man, I can't relax until I got this sucker nailed down. Okay? I can't really rest until I know that I've got this. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it tonight. That is not the purpose of this class. Come to my drawing class, I'll tell you how to nail suckers down. But that is not the goal of tonight. Okay, so just don't worry about it. But I'm like a horse driver with wild horses on the range, holding back, hold back. Don't rush to judgment. Don't hurry up. Just relax. We're going to take our time. We're going to draw this thing over and over and over again. And even then, if you're not very good at drawing, it won't be very close. But it should be interesting, and that's more important than accurate, okay? So we are, in fact, going to do what Judy did. And thank you for letting me pick on you, my dear. We are going to draw it again. But let's pick a different color. So same brush, perhaps. If you like the brush you used the first time, if you want to use a different brush, that's actually even a better idea because you'll get a slightly different mark out of a different brush. By the way, real quick teaching point. That why does a professional artist like me have all these brushes? Do I need? No. In fact, if I'm not painting well, I could paint the entire painting with one brush. Why don't I do that? Well, because the essence of good painting is making interesting marks. And the essence of interestingness is variety. So if I have a whole bunch of different brushes, doesn't even matter if they're like supposed to be different. If they both be, whatever this is, number 4 filberts, but 2 number 4 filberts are not the same. They don't make the same kind of mark. Okay? So that's part of the reason why a professional brush artist has all these brushes. Little mystery solved, perhaps, for some of you. Okay, so you might want to pick a different brush, but not required. We are going to pick a different color. And what shall it be? Let's do easy. Let's do ultramarine blue, which is the of your 2 blues. If you did what I recommended, of the 2 blues, it's the more purplish one. And let's, now I want you to watch me again for just a minute. So this is now our second time to draw, quote unquote, even though every stroke we've made so far has been drawing. Do you remember my first red mark? And I told you I was drawing, just nobody would know it. Okay, so we've been drawing the whole time, but this is really real drawing. This is our second time. Now I get to look at my first marks, which I can still barely see, and go, and I scratch my chin, so to speak, and I go, was that line in the right place or not? Would I like? So don't just slavishly follow what your purple marks. Don't just slavishly copy what you did. No, this is the time to make corrections. Are you with me? So I would like you to watch me for just a minute and then think, oh, you know what? Yeah, I think the front of the boat needs to be farther forward than it was the last time. Do you see that change? Do you see what I did the first time? Here's a really important concept. Then what do you do with the quote-unquote erroneous or wrong or mistake screw-up line that I did last time? Leave it. Absolutely. The grumpy adult, by the way, the grumpy adult, if I'm a pretty good painter, it's largely because I've managed either to resuscitate or the little child never died, one or the other. The child in you is a good painter. When you were 4, you were a good painter, and your mama put those paintings on the refrigerator. As well she should have. I hope she did. It is the grumpy adult is a terrible painter because a grumpy adult is sitting in judgment over every stroke you make. The grumpy adult is the voice inside your head that says, "Oh, shit, I knew I wasn't going to be good at this. I'm not good at this. You hear me?" And I just say, "Grumpy adults, be out of here. Clear the room of that grumpy adult voice." Okay. So, what do you do with the wrong lines? Leave them. Yay! Happy child voice, not grumpy adult voice. Got it? Okay. Forgive me for all those long sermons. Let me continue now to draw. I do invite you to pay attention even to things like how I'm holding the brush. I know some of you would say, "Well, man, it just feels so weird." Of course, everything that you do. Any golfers? I'm not a golfer, but any golfers in the room? Yeah, I'm sure there are. Does stuff feel weird? Like first time you took golf lessons from a real coach, right? And he said do this, he or she said do this, do that, this, that, right? I know enough to know that you go, dang, that feels weird. Am I right? Did I have a golfer in the room? Yeah. Same thing here. Yeah, of course it feels weird. You've never done it this way before. Get over it. Do as much as you can the way I'm saying. Okay, I don't like that mark. That line down there is supposed to be more horizontal. So I just made a couple corrections. What do you do with the wrong lines? Nothing. Leave them. I think the horizon, the edge of the water needs to be a little bit lower. And now I'm going to do some of the ropes. Again, I'm changing my mind about this dark door as well. And the dark window. And the second window that's not quite so dark, right? And then there's this big steel thing, and there's the edge of the roof. Now, there's 2 things that I'm doing this time that I didn't do on the purple drawing. Number 1, I'm being a little bit more careful, taking a little bit more time, and drawing a little bit more detail. Okay, so the last time I took maybe 40 seconds to draw. This time it's going to be a minute and a half. And that's what you can do. Okay, but only a minute and a half. I'm not going to give you 5 minutes because you'll be going down a very bad path if I let you do that. Okay, so go ahead and draw. You can watch me a little bit more if you want, or you can go ahead and start drawing. This is not the last time we're going to draw this. Have you figured that out? Mm-hmm. We're going to draw all this stuff yet again. Here's a funny thing. The first erroneous drawing that you made actually helps you to get the second drawing more accurate. Mm-hmm. Anybody here a journalist, writer, creative English writer person? Which job is harder? Which job is harder? First draft or first edit? First draft is the hardest. The person who has to go on blank paper or blank computer screen and compose. Are you with me? Second time through, it's editing. Editing is, in my opinion, a whole lot easier than first draft. Same thing here with painting. The very first thing you did was harder. It's easier to come back the second time and make corrections. I would invite you, or maybe even urge you, to try to draw as messily, is that a word? As messily as I am. Resist the temptation to get all fastidious, is one of my favorite words in this regard. Resist the temptation to get all fussy and accurate. Okay, take 30 more seconds at the most to finish this second drawing. I gave you more than 30 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, stop. Anything you're doing now is probably just going in a bad hat. You ladies in front, bless you. You get the harsher treatment because you're right under my nose. Bridget, let me see what you've done. Okay, can I mess with your canvas a little bit? May I? Are you sure? Okay. And I'm using Bridget not because she's a bad example. In fact, that's lovely, isn't it? Okay, why is it lovely? Any idea? Color. It's just beautiful. It's got a lot of beautiful marks. Okay, I'm going to make Bridget's painting better. Okay. I don't do this often, but I know this will work. I'm going to make her painting better in just a few seconds. And after I make her painting better, I'm going to make you make all of your paintings better too. Okay? Is anybody here as messy as me yet? You want to say, yeah, I'm as messy as you. Maybe? Okay, good. Then you might not need as much of it. Okay, here's Bridget's painting. Ready? I don't usually have to work that hard. Okay, it's better. Now, I rubbed it more than I wanted to, Bridget, but, okay, I want you to do the same. Now, wait. No scrubby, brushy. No, like X, Y, Z, strokes all the way from one edge of your canvas to the other. And maybe 4 or 5 of those strokes going all the way across your canvas.
Is this brush dry?
Yeah, fairly dry. If it's slightly used, that's okay. If it's slightly messy, that's okay. Okay, I want to explain.
Don't even look, just do it.
Pretty much a stroke all the way across from one edge to the other. 3 or 4 or 5 of them. Okay, Judy wants me to do hers. I will do hers. Lovely, just needs a little energy. And again, I'm not having as much effect as I would like, but I'll let it go at that. Most of you, the great majority of you, your painting will be better. That needs some explanation. And again, I don't want to talk you to death. This is only a 3-hour class. But let me explain a little bit. Again, most of you, all of you, let's just be frank, are neaties in painting, having to learn how to make interesting marks. Okay? And I said this once, but I'll repeat it. Any stroke, brush stroke, rag stroke, any stroke applied with energy, strength, enthusiasm, vigor, joy, joie de vivre, woohoo, is a good stroke. And most of the time, like the last several minutes while you were drawing, that is not the mood, that was not the spirit in which you painted. Here's what your brain was doing while you were doing that drawing in blue. You're going, do I have a witness? Will you admit that was your inner soul? Those are the sounds your soul is making. Just think about it. what kind of marks are going to end up on your canvas from a sole that is going, right? Versus a sole that's going, woohoo! Okay? The woohoo sole will make interesting marks. Okay? And so most of you, your paintings got dramatically better with those last 5 strokes. Now here's an irony. Even though you just, most of you, if you did what I'm not going to mother hen you. I'm assuming most of you did something like it. Even though you did that, you doggone it, you can still see all the straight lines that you put before you did that, right? You did not obliterate all the detail you just did. Am I right? You can still kind of see it. And by the way, that's a trick that I use in my own painting. So like, even though I know better, and I rarely paint with that thing going on. But still, if I find myself, I've been fastidious, fussy, accurate, working for too many seconds in a row, then I'll just go, I do. If you don't believe me, watch my videos. You'll say, he does do that. That's crazy. Okay? Okay, let's move on, shall we? And part of it, I'm making this up. I mean, I have a general flow of how we go. I'm trying to decide right now, we're going to do light or dark. Light. With paint or with a rag? With a rag. Okay, another rag. We're going to paint by taking paint off the canvas. We're going to do the same thing we did a few minutes ago. The only difference is this time, we're going to take a little more time. You can, instead of maybe balling up your rag like this, which is what I kind of hope you did last time,